So I just received Warfighter Vietnam. I kickstarted the very first Warfighter and have most of them that have been released. So I want to go over kind of what has changed. Actually, let's start here. This board is pretty unique. DVG doesn't do a lot of really custom artwork. It's often a little drab. This is very vivid, really nice composition. Same thing with the counters. You got vivid colors, high contrast, quite shiny for DVG, nice rendered corners. I think one thing they're doing really well here is the mood. It's really capturing a mood. See the same thing with some of the cards. These are objective and mission cards. Along the Watchtower, California Dreamin', Break On Through, Riders of the Storm, Fortunate Son, War Pigs. They're hitting the tone pretty well here. Next thing I want to talk about is keyword sheet. This is the new one. It's pretty expansive, and it's a little disappointing. Let me bring out the rule book. So at one point, DVG went to a universal rulebook system where all the rules for all the games were in there. It's really hard to learn. It's really confusing. It's like 80 pages. It's a mess. They've gone back to just what you need to know for this game in this rulebook. It's laid out really nicely. That's an improvement. But on the keyword sheet, they seem to still be doing universal. It has stuff about zombies, undead, vampires, summoning. It's got stuff for the fantasy game. This would be much better if they left that out. They also should probably have page numbers. They're moving away from universal rulebook format. And I really missed the trifold. This was a manageable amount of keywords. Really easy to use. So this is kind of a negative for me. When it comes to the rulebook, we'll look at an older one and a new one. They used to put the index on the cover, which I didn't like. It's pretty limited. Now they have 3 pages of index inside. Quite nice. They've also moved away from this 2-column format, and now they have bigger text and a single column. It's okay. It's actually much more readable, bigger fonts. The cards are actually big enough you can read the text on them. I kind of miss some of this decorative elements where they tell you what section of the rulebook you're in and what you're reading about, so you can flip through and find it easily. Overall, I think this is an improvement, though. So what is new? We'll flip through really quickly. Body count. Body count works a lot like experience, but it seems to be tied to objectives. There's also searching to try and find more enemies if you need to get your body count up. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I want to play it and see how it works out. Fading. One of the big problems in the previous games was you get a conga line of enemies following you around. It's just a nightmare to keep track of. Even in Warfighter Pacific, they didn't handle forests particularly well. They just kind of had a line of sight blocker that gave you infinite information on what the enemies were up to, and they seem to not be able to figure out what you were up to. This means enemies can kind of fade back out into the jungle and disappear. Also, enemies come with 2 sides, an exposed and unexposed side, and that I think works with the fade system to keep you kind of guessing. Some other new things. Fade again. Tunnel rats and traps. Interesting to see how those play out. Another interesting thing is how where's an objective? Enemies are spawned. In most of the Warfighters, when you put down a location or objective, you spawn enemies based on the resources of your team. So you have to constantly recalculate. Here it's based on how far, which objective spot it is. I kind of like that as well. They did that in Warfighter PMC. This is another thing that stood out as unique, which is the battle fatigue. Warfighter PMC had something similar. These are kind of junk cards that fill up your deck and get discarded when they come up. In general, I like the cards. Text is bigger, clearer, everything pops. There's a lot less just kind of decorative elements on them. And that's basically, those are the main differences I'm seeing. I'm excited to play this, get it to the table. I've got some tricks that I use to organize that lets me get the game out more often, get it set up quickly and torn down. And I'll be going over those in the next video. Thanks.